Hey friends, I am doing a channeled message this morning on my commute. I'm a water bearer, so I get so many downloads on a rainy day. I used to tell people that I love rainy days because it just kind of feels like it's washing all of your troubles away and giving you a new fresh start. So today's message that I wanted to channel for us was healing out loud and how far we've come as a society in the past year. I've seen, especially since COVID, a lot of us didn't realize how the pandemic was going to affect our mental health. I mean, a lot of people switched to working from home. A lot of people, just had to stay isolated. And I didn't really find that very hard. I'm sure a lot of us empaths probably needed the break from other people's energies, just to recalibrate our own systems. And that's why, we've experienced so many mass awakenings and uploads in our spirituality. But I've noticed that a lot of people shy away still from talking about the healing out loud journey, whether this is overcoming trauma, abuse, dealing with mental health neurodivergencies. I just kind of see a lot of people shy away from it. And this has been something even recent in my life. Even on this point in my journey, my 30s are treating me much better. I give a darn is busted. So I just kind of live out loud now. Other people would ask me, oh, you don't talk to your biological family, and why is that? First off, it's none of your business. Why don't you talk to your adoptive family? None of your business. If you really want to get to know me, prove it, and then maybe I'll open up. But I don't have to explain my traumas. I shouldn't have to explain why years of abuse can lead to complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't have to explain why some of those traumas led to OCD, and why some of them even probably occurred because I was on the autism spectrum, and because I was ADHD, and my caregivers back then didn't really know how to navigate those mental disabilities or neurodivergencies, because they aren't a widely talked about thing in our society, which is again why I'm making this channeled message. I feel like we shy away from talking about mental neurodivergencies, even though it's something that we really can't control. I was going to an appointment the other week, and somebody asked me about it, just prying a little bit more, and I said I'm going to see my therapist. And the look on their face was, and that kind of not really bothers me, but bothers me as a whole, because if somebody tells me that they're going to go see their therapist, I think, well, thank goodness you're taking care of yourself, because that means I don't have to sit here and mentally hold your hand. I think that we need to start healing out loud more often, and I think that's a lot of what us empaths and healers, earth angels, light workers, we're feeling called to do right now. We're feeling called to share our journey. This happens a lot too, because some people just look at you and you have it so put together. You probably have a good routine. You probably, get your water, get your rest, exercise, and everything else kind of plays itself out. But other people look at you like, you're going to see a therapist, you handle yourself so well. Well, that is part of the reason that you're healing your mental health, and why we need to talk about it more. Over the past year, I've had some people just kind of like creep in and want to start, finding out how I handle, some of the mental things that I go through from my post-traumatic stress disorder, from, me being on the autistic spectrum, from me being ADHD, from me being OCD. There's some others out there that you would never expect to actually be going through some of these things, but they are so in need of somebody to talk to about it. And I just really think as a society, we need to open up that communication more, less judgment, you know. I mean, you take somebody that's been raped, abused, and, you know, mentally traumatized, and you expect them not to have PTSD. Well, you know, that person could choose never to see a therapist. That way they never get diagnosed. That way you never actually have a title to judge them by. Or that person can seek help. Talk to a therapist, you know, get some medications, you know, to control their chemical imbalances within their brain, and become a healthier person. And from us healing out loud, we can learn to not shy away from those difficult situations, not shy away from, you know, the hurt that we've gone through. And by allowing ourselves to feel it, we can overcome it, and we can move and transmute that into energy that can be healing towards ourselves. So yeah, I just really felt called to share this channeled message out there. I just noticed, you know, every time you say, oh, I'm going to see my therapist, people get that wide-eyed look, because it's not something that was widely talked about, which is why a lot of us are traumatized to this day. I know that a lot of my trauma stemmed from I know that my adoptive parents and my biological parents suffered through forms of abuse in their own way, and they might not have gotten help for it. Instead, you know, my biological family, they never really wanted to rely on any systems, you know. And my adoptive parents, they cared so much about what the town thought about them that they didn't want to own up to having a disability or neurodivergency from their trauma, because they didn't want to be judged for it. So these are two of the major culprits that we tend to see in our society as to why people don't own up to their mental neurodivergencies, why we're not healing. And I think healing out loud, I'm gonna paste it all over the internet if I have to. I have neurodivergency issues, and I don't really find them to be issues anymore, because I've learned to handle them, because I do see a therapist, because I do handle my trauma and I heal through it, and I understand why it happened to me, and that it had nothing to do with me, and that it had a lot to do with those that remained unhealed and continued to procreate. You know, those that continued to not heal but chose to be in power over somebody else's well-being. You know, these are the things we need to heal, because we can pretend for days that because you don't talk to a therapist, you never have the issue. But when we dive deeper, we're going to realize that more than 99% of the population is probably traumatized in some way and needs to seek some mental, you know, healing. So don't be ashamed of healing out loud. Don't be ashamed of putting your story out there. Don't be ashamed of who you are. I mean, so what? You have some chemical imbalances within the brain, something you can't control. Well, can you control, you know, other factors that you might physiologically go through? So why are you holding yourself to such a pedestal because of what others think when it comes to taking care of your mental health? You know, so I'm going to heal out loud. I'm going to post my trauma out here. I'm going to post my journey out here. And the great thing about social media is people get to choose whether or not they want to click on it or whether or not they want to pass by it. So, you know, those that it needs to resonate with, this will find. Those that aren't ready, they know that they can click on it another time. But I think that this whole shame and guilt around mental neurodivergencies, around seeking mental help, again, instead of that squinty-eyed, like, oh, what's wrong with you kind of look when you say you're going to see a therapist, let's open it up to good for you, way to go get help. You know, I want to see it complimented, just like you seeking exercise or you getting your water intake. That's how we need to make mental health. We don't need to make it, you know, oh, you're crazy. Who are you to judge? First off, you might be crazy, you know. It's all inner self-awareness. I had somebody in the past, I keep bringing this up, but tell me that I had to work on my emotional intelligence. Well, they lacked so much self-awareness within their own self, which was a projection of their own insecurities, feeling less than around me, so having to bring me down to a certain level. So, you know, with us continuing to deny the trauma that we've all probably succumbed to over the past 10 years, we need to open up and talk about these issues more. I'm running out of time. I love you, friends. Bye.